The truth of aging. We're all old people in training. It's going to happen to every single one of us. But what does it mean to get older? What changes can we expect? And what can we do to help this process? And why does so much variability exist between people? Why do some people run marathons into their 80s and others struggle to take stairs in their 50s? This video is going to provide you with evidence-based answers to these questions and reveal the absolute best thing you can do for your future self, for your health and for your quality of life in the decades to come, and what could be more important than that. Aging is demonized in today's culture with the focus on injections to keep your face looking younger and some people trying to live forever. There are lots of positives to aging. People generally feel more comfortable being themselves and have a strong sense of purpose. But what exactly does aging mean? What is the biology of aging? We're aware when we get an injury because we usually have pain from localized acute inflammation at the site. On the other hand, low-grade systemic inflammation is quiet, but it is happening in our bodies. It affects every part of our bodies and is a precursor to chronic diseases. This low-grade inflammation increases as we age. Therefore, aging is a risk factor for chronic disease. This is very relevant for people in their 40s, 50s and 60s when thinking about how they want their living experience to be in their 70s and 80s. When we are younger, we have a lot of reserve in our tissues, in our skin, our muscles, our organs, and this reserve becomes depleted as we age. As we age, cells break down faster than they are repairing. Cells, which help us to recover and rebuild, fatigue with age. So all this impacts the systems in our body and we become more susceptible to diseases. So what is reserve? Reserve is our capacity to withstand stressors. We want capacity in our tissues so that we can withstand the stress whenever it's applied. That could be when we get sick. It could be a heavy day of gardening, a tough training session. It could be a busy week in work or a stressful period in your life. It could be a hip or an ankle fracture. What capacity do you have to withstand that stress? How can you improve your reserve? You do that by improving your strength and fitness levels. As our reserve lessens as we age, that impacts our organ function. And as we reach the threshold or capacity of that organ, we can develop problems like chronic disease. Multiple systems can be affected. The efficiency of our heart decreases. There's a decrease in the amount of blood the heart can pump. And with plaque accumulation, this makes heart failure and heart attacks more likely as we age. We can lose muscular strength around our chest. The effectiveness of a cough can be affected. So breathing can become more effortful and lung capacity reduces. Our brains become less efficient. We become more susceptible to diseases like dementia, Parkinson's, stroke. It takes longer to learn new skills, dual task performance, and memory are affected. Our reaction times are reduced and our processing time increases. There is a reduction in the size of our muscles and in our bone density. We become more likely to develop age-related diseases like osteoporosis, arthritis, sarcopenia, and frailty. The variability between people can be explained by a number of factors. Part of this is genetics, but then other things like physical inactivity, weight gain, sedentary behavior, and getting diseases are all accelerators of aging. These things increase our low-grade inflammation and it leads to changes happening faster, and this is where a lot of the variability exists. As we age, we become more at risk to the effects of frailty. The more frail you are, the more at risk you are for all age-related diseases. How do you stave off the effects of frailty? You strength train and improve your fitness levels. Frailty is marked by muscular weakness, low physical activity, low strength, and slow walking speed. When this is the obvious focus, it's not just the physical impact. Social and cognitive frailty often coexist with the physical impairments. There is a clear relationship linking physical frailty with social and cognitive frailty. So if you are physically weak with low muscle mass and low strength, you are also more likely to develop cognitive impairment. At this stage, pre any formal diagnosis of things like dementia or Alzheimer's, there is still potential for reversing this process and improving brain health through interventions like resistance training and aerobic training. So brain health, muscular strength, low physical activity, and slow walking speed can all be addressed by simply maintaining and improving your strength and fitness levels. Sarcopenia is age-related muscular weakness that impacts your day and your ability to do normal things like taking stairs, getting up from a chair, getting up from a toilet. This leads to many adverse health outcomes like falls, fractures, reduced quality of life, hospitalizations. Because it's muscular weakness driven, exercise interventions, especially resistance training, and focusing on improving muscle size and strength is prioritized. There is a narrative out there that smoking is the worst thing you can do for your health, but actually not being physically active has a much higher risk of death. So to finish, even though all the research shows us that lifting weights is the best thing we can do to maintain our independence, stave off chronic diseases, and have a good quality of life, we live in a culture where lifting weights is seen as dangerous and irrelevant and not for people over 40. But what's more dangerous? Learning how to lift weights or being weak and never pushing your body? Physical strength is the most important thing in life, whether we want to believe it or not. If you have any questions or concerns about your own history or your own case, we'd be happy to help you. Just reach out and we'll get back to you. Thanks.